This, we believe, has a very compelling strategic rationale. Coffee is a significant, on-trend, fast-growing and profitable category, as I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, are well aware of. Costa is a strong consumer proposition. It's got a scalable coffee platform to engage with consumers across multiple formats and channels. In the end, this is a coffee strategy, not a retail strategy.
Joining us now is Sanford C. Bernstein, Senior Vice President, and the #1 rated consumer analyst on the street, Ali Dibadj. Nice to see you, Ali.
Good to see you. Thanks a lot for having me.
So I heard your question on the call. I thought it was a thoughtful one. You asked, I guess, what they were buying if it's a market leader and it has so much potential to grow. Did the answer satisfy you as far as how you see this fitting into the overall Coke portfolio and the growth opportunity this brand has?
So it makes sense in terms of then having to get into coffee. Hot beverages are growing much, much faster than their Coca-Cola franchises, than their cold beverages. So I get why they're trying to diversify into this. I don't understand why they had to buy something. I don't understand why they spent $5 billion to do it. And exactly from the clip that you played, I think the coffee strategy Coke is realizing actually requires a retail strategy. Actually requires retail positions. That's what JAB is doing with Keurig and Dr. Pepper Snapple. So I think they're figuring that out. That's not an ideal answer for Coke because they don't have a retail strategy. But it's difficult for them, I think, to get into coffee and be successful with coffee because they haven't been so far without buying these retail outlets.
But of course, their answer to that, Ali, is that they're just going to keep the current management team in place, which is doing a great job running retail locations. And if they need more people, they'll just add more people, and it's only one pillar of growth. And the U.S. market, for instance, didn't sound like Quincy wants to take Costa stores here to compete with Starbucks.
And that's exactly the dichotomy. So if you're buying something that's good in a region and you expect them to grow outside of that region, but you're going to leave them alone, what are you adding as Coke? That's exactly the core of the question from their strategy of buying this. I get why they felt like they needed to, but go forward, it remains to be seen. The other thing that's happening here is, given what Nestle is doing, there was a coffee deal not too far ago with Starbucks. Given, again, Keurig buying Dr. Pepper Snapple, you're setting up for a battle of titans here in the global coffee market. It's a very attractive, fast-growing market. Mr. Quincy is right. But you're setting up a battle of titans here between these three big players on a global basis.
Are you including JAB in that, Ali?
I am, absolutely. The JAB Keurig DPS deal, they were the first movers here. I think Coke looks a little bit reactionary, frankly, in this deal. But again, I believe it's a realization that they need a retail strategy to make coffee work, despite, again, some of the difficulties I have in leaving this company alone at Costa, but then also being able to, as Coke, expand it geographically on a global basis. I mean, you can't forget.
But it's not like they don't. It's not like they don't have the wherewithal to do that or to compete in a very heated market. I mean, they do, don't they? And they have the expertise as well.
They do, but the question is, why didn't they do it themselves then, right? So what does a UK #1 coffee brand bring them that they couldn't get themselves, or just buy a brand? So I think that's the struggle, right? You're spending $5 billion to buy what, right? To buy a bunch of really good retail stores, mostly in the UK, to buy a good brand, mostly in the UK. Well, do you really need all of that? And again, I think it comes down to they don't know retail, and they have to roll out retail to be successful in coffee on a global basis. That's tough for a CPG company to swallow, and for CPG investors and analysts to understand. But I think that's the reality that they're coming to.
For Coke, what's the closest thing they've done that would inform a retail strategy in the future? Have they ever come anything close to this?
Not really. This is somewhat of a departure. I think the closest you can imagine is what they've done with their fountains in retail, so in the food service channels. That's what they're thinking about from a Costa in the U.S. on a vending perspective, but nothing really close to retail is anything they've done, no.
I mean, what deal would you like better? Because everyone looked at James Quincy as a deal maker, and he was going to come in, and it got the street all excited, and he put together the bottlers in Europe. Is there something they should be in that they're not? There's been monster speculation forever.
Yeah. Where
should they be? Coffee's growing 6% globally. At least it's a growth area versus soda and diets.
Yeah. Look, I don't struggle with the idea of getting into coffee. I don't struggle with the idea of them getting out of the carbonated soft drinks kind of anchor that they have on them. I don't struggle with that at all. Paying $5 billion for a very regional brand for me is difficult to understand. At 16 times EBITDA, which is higher than a Starbucks valuation, which we believe is higher than Whitbread would have let it go for. I think they would have paid a lot. They would have taken a lot less than that. I don't think that's the question in terms of getting out of its core categories. I mean, frankly, there was buzz not too long ago about them getting into Japan with alcohol. I think they keep talking about the non-alcoholic ready-to-drink market. Well, maybe getting to the alcoholic ready-to-drink market is something they can go to. As Harry, you mentioned Monster as well. Monster, absolutely. Energy drinks are growing quite quickly as well. There are a lot of categories they can get into. I think further into the dairy category as well, certainly on a global basis where they could go. So not milk, but value-added dairy is something they could go into, like they've done Fairlife in the US. There are many places in beverages, and beverages is a very dynamic, growing category. But right now, coffee is where the titans are setting up to battle each other.